So as the sun sets on Davao City, I'm doing some cooking, doing some little bits and bobs for tomorrow's breakfast for Annie. And I was thinking to myself today that there are three things that I wouldn't like to have in my house or in my apartment or my condo.
I'm overheated, can hardly sleep at night.
First one, cockroach. Yeah, they're prevalent in the Philippines because it has all the natural environments. It's moist, damp, warm, food. They like to hide in nooks and crannies and like to hide in crevices. And there are three varieties of cockroaches in the Philippines. There's these little dinky things like that, and these big buggers that are like this, that are jet black, but predominantly they live in the drains and come up through your toilet. Life expectancy of a cockroach is around 3 months to 6 months on the bigger variety. On the smaller variety, it's about 115 days, which is about 3 months. Best way to get rid of them, you can spray, and I spray once a month here around the toilet system, but that doesn't get rid of the hive area that the cockroaches all come from. This like little working environment. So there are some baits that you can buy, and you can put the baits down and the cockroach eats it and then goes back and it dies, and then when it dies the other cockroaches eat that and then they die, and it's just that knock-on effect that you've got back into the nest, got back into that hive of the cockroaches. Now what they survive on is they survive on excrement, dead bodies, anything that they can eat, they will eat cockroaches. But there are three varieties here in the Philippines. I'm just going to post some pictures of that. If you're going to turn around and you see one, don't stamp on it, because they carry their eggs, and you might kill the adult, but the eggs will be on your flip-flops or your sandals or your shoes or your trainers, and those eggs will hatch out as you spread them around your apartment. Interesting fact about cockroaches, they can walk up to 3 kilometres a day. Well, put it another way, scientific research says that they can walk up to 1 kilometre in an hour. That's a bloody long way for something that's about this big, isn't it? The little legs must be scurrying around without, I suppose that's most probably on a really flat surface, but somebody's done the math on it and the scientific evidence, and they posted it, and you can read up about it online. So if you do get them, you can spray, but keep away the rubbish, keep away the food bins, keep away food that's in your apartment or your house, or put it in airtight containers, and then wash down all your surfaces with a good washing up liquid. Bleach doesn't worry them, but washing up liquid turns around and gets rid of all of the greasy smears and fats that they like to turn around and to eat, or to turn around and go salivate onto. The second one is ants. Now in the Philippines there are 8 types of ants here. 3 of the species of ants here. One is called the weaver, one is called the what is it called? Like it's the greenery. And
Doing crazy dreaming, you're the reason why. Hiding by the baby, losing my mind. Don't try to save me, I feel alive.
and the other one is called the pharaoh ant. what's the one that does all the greenery? On the tip of my tongue. So those three will actually are very aggressive, and they will attack. So when you see them going along the curbside or across your garden or stuff like that, don't go out there and spray them with a can, because that's not going to do anything other than alert the queen that you've killed 200 ants. Yeah, and she'll turn around and she will turn around and produce another 200, and within 38 days you'll end up with a fully fledged ant, whether it be a worker, whether it be a army, or it's one of these fighting ants, or whether it's guard ant where it just sits there and turns around and attacks anything that comes anywhere near its nest, or its colony as they call it. Once again, you have to turn around, put down, there's a thing here called zap ant bait, and it's crystals. It's got all the nutrients to keep like the ants like, but it's also got 2 chemicals in there. 1% of it is a chemical. The ants pick it up, take it back into their colony, and they start feeding on it. And over the 3 or 4 week period, you'll kill the new ants, you'll also kill the queen, and you'll also kill the workers and the soldier ants that have those real nasty mandibles. Now, 2 of the ants, the weaver and the pharaoh, actually bite, and they give you a little nip, and it hurts, and it agitates, and it itchy and scratchy for about 4 or 5 hours, and it's very, 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 very hurtful. You know, it's not a nice sensation to have. However, the fire ant, and that's the third one, the fire ant actually injects you as a stinger on the back of its little bright purple, dark black sac at the back. That will turn around and give you grief for 2 or 3 days, and then it will turn around and go pussy, and it will start to become infected, and you need to get that sorted out, because the bacteria that's in there is to break down the skin and turn around and eat your flesh. It's one of those things they use to digest their enemies. But you know, a little ant like that, and there's a big one like me, but you know, you get the idea, don't you? It bloody hurts, and then it turns around and goes septic, and it becomes pustule, or something they called it when I was reading about it today. So yeah, ants. Now the other thing with ants is they will actually turn around and get attracted in by sweet smells and other things that get into your house, and they'll come in through the pipes and the electrical cabling, or under the doors, or around the windows. Wherever you've got a gap, they'll find it, and the little worker will go turn around and find it. He'll go back, tell the rest of his mates will turn up. Now what you can do is eucalyptus is a good deterrent. It helps get rid of them, keeps them away. Tea oil is another one that's very, very good, and they work, those 2. All the rest I've actually read up about don't actually work, but eucalyptus, I think that's why a lot of people here in the Philippines use Vicks, because they spread it all on, but you've got that eucalyptus aroma, and that it gets onto things, and it puts ants off, or especially the ants that are in the Philippines. So yeah, tea oil and eucalyptus, 38 days, and you end up with having a new set of ants. Queen ants will produce 800 eggs a day. She's popping them out, and she doesn't need a mate. Once she starts the process of producing eggs, she'll continue that for her life cycle. And some ants, as I said, the pharaoh, the fire, and the weaver will actually swarm, which means they'll grow wings and they'll fly off and they'll create another colony somewhere else. So they might actually be here, and they might swarm 20 metres away or 40 metres away, and they'll turn around and they'll create another colony there. And considering an ant colony can end up having over 1,000 to 2,000 to 3,000 to 100,000 ants, it's something you don't want coming in, marching into your living space. Yeah. Out of the other 9, there is the black ant here. A lot of people just turn around and shoo it away, but you need to be very careful of it, because what it eats all the stuff that's rotting and decaying, and the poo and all the other stuff, and it comes into your house, and it will walk across your food, and it'll be a bit like a fly. You'll be eating the contaminated product that's come off that ant. There are a couple of other ants that are here, but nothing like those 3 I've just turned around and told you about. They give you pain. They all have the same issue. Put down a food granule like that ant bait, goes back into the colony, it kills the queen and everybody else. Within a month the colony is gone. Spraying it or putting hot water down just doesn't do anything about it. You need to get back into where the source is, where the house is. Okay, so that's ants that I wouldn't like in my apartment or my house or my condo. Forget the things like mosquitoes and flies, I'll cover those off later. And then the third one is termites.
My world is faster and faster, the tears and the laughter. I'm here for the ride. Yes, I'm an emotional man.
Now there are 200 species of termites in the Philippines. And everything here from decaying wood, rotten vegetation, damp ground, works in the termites' favour. And the termites breed using a king and a queen. The queen produces up to 1,000 to 2,000 eggs a day, but the king turns around and looks after the queen, and then you end up with the soldiers, you end up with the workers, you end up with the builders, you end up with there's a whole infrastructure of termites that will come into a property. They're attracted to things like damp wood, and they'll live inside the wood, and that's what gives them the reputation of, you've got a wooden house, it won't be there long. However, they also like to turn around and live in the crevices and cracks of concrete buildings, because they don't have to worry about repairing that. They can create their little tunnels and their little colony within inside the concrete surrounds, or within inside your garden. They will turn around quite comfortably, live there, come in, do the damage in the house because they're feeding, and then disappear outside. Now you can spray, once again you can spray, and there are some what was it called, Filipino or something, Philonia spray. And there is another one that's called hexahormone, which you can spray, which gets rid of them. You can treat wood here with like a varnish. Begins with C, I can't remember the name now, but you put on the varnish and it makes it very, very difficult for the termites to burrow into the softwood or the pallet wood or the tree wood or your furniture wood. And all you do is you spray that on, and that gives it its coating. You'll see dark stains, light stains, but they've all got this varnish finish on it, which is like a polished plastic. There's milk termites, there are Luzon termites, there's the pointy nose termite. There's all these different termites here. Too many for me to turn around and go over and go through. However, it's the same process as the ant. If an ant finds a termite's nest, they will attack the termite because it's food and it's seen as their enemy. So because the termite lives in the colony, whether it's in the ground, whether it's in the house, whether it's in the rafters, whether it's in a tree, you will find that you can turn around and you can get a termite bait that you put down, and the termites will take it back. It's not the same as the zap ant bait, but it's a termite bait that will take it back. It will turn around and do the same effect that it does with ants. Now there is also another remedy here that is one of the top 5 that's used here, and that is fairy liquid or washing up liquid mixed with warm water and orange oil, and you mix 2 together, equal parts, or 3 together, equal parts. And what you do is if you find an area that leaves a little run, or you find some sawdust that's in your apartment or outside your apartment somewhere, or you find lots of little, little dusty bits that are all piled up against a brick wall, you've most probably got termites living underground, because they leave that fine dust behind. All you do is you pour this down on the ground and it soaks in, and what actually happens, it stops the termites shedding their shell. I don't know how it works, whether it's the chemicals in the washing up liquid, whether it's the orange oil, whatever it is, you get it into the ground and it turns around and goes over the termite, and they can't shed their skin, which means they can't grow, which means they die. So there's that one. There are wood burrowing termites. They're the ones that live in bookcases or doors or trees, and they'll turn around and create this infrastructure. There are land termites. These are the ones that live above the ground that create these colonies of sand and dirt and mud, and they bring them up because they need to keep it around 38 degrees. If they overheat, you'll see them all coming out making holes in it in this colony to try and get the cold air inside, or to vent it. They need, otherwise they turn around and they overheat and cause them